Hi there, how you doing? What is the key thing that makes a self-published author? What is the key thing that makes a self-published author different from anyone else who happens to write stories? If you want to know, then keep watching this video. Hi there, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Lisa Oliver. I write MMPNR. And for those of you who don't know what it is, Google it. Better yet, throw my name into Amazon and see the 80-odd backlist titles that I have written, all to do with people, particularly my men, falling in love. So today we are talking about the key thing that makes a self-published author. What is the key thing that a self-published author has to do? And I can tell you now, it's got nothing to do with the genre, the characters, or what type of fiction writing you enjoy writing. It's got nothing to do with your own writing style or your length of book, be it a short novella through to a huge, big, epic saga. It's got nothing to do with anything like that. The key thing that sets aside a self-published fiction author from any other type of writer is that a self-published fiction author finishes their stories. Should have a huge drum roll there. You see, so many people start writing books, right? Heaps of them. Probably hundreds or thousands of them every day. I want to write a book. I'm going to write a book. They sit down and they start typing a book, or they start plotting one, or they start doing whatever it is that they think they need to do to write a book. There are so many. I can't even give you a figure. There are so many people that do that. And they write the first chapter and they're so excited. And they write the second chapter and they're even more excited. And then they get to the third chapter and there's a little less excitement because it's starting to become more like hard work instead of driven by adrenaline. But still, it's really fun to sit down the pub or sit around with a group of friends at dinner and talk about the book that you want to write and all this sort of thing, or where you think you might go next. And you and your friends, you sit there and you discuss the different plot points, and they come up with ideas, and some of them you think are good, and some of them you don't. But you notice something in all this chatting that's going on that could go on over months and months and months. The book's not getting written. And the key thing that makes a self-published fiction author is the fact that they finished their book. And that is not the easy thing to do. There are so many barriers to finishing a book. Strangely, there's not a lot to starting one. There are people who have issues with time, but they, if it's really important to them, they'll make the time to get started at least. And then second of all, then there's the issue of the longevity, finding time to write in between, commitments, work, children, significant others, all this sort of carry on. There's all that as well. It's not easy writing a book. It's a lengthy thing to do. It takes a lot of time. So, and actually we better just do a quick aside here. This time thing is relative. If you're writing full time, it is quite realistic to write a book in a month. At least your first draft. You can do a book in a month. All you need to do is go on NaNoWriMo to check that out and to find that out for yourself. But, basically what you're doing is, yes, you can write a book in a month if you write full time. That's assuming that your book is 90,000 words long and you write 3,000 words every day, every single day for a month. You can write a book in a month. Okay, but some people take 2 to 3 months to write a book. Some people take a year to write a book. Some people really research and they do quite in-depth things, particularly with historical dramas and things like that, whereby it might take them a year or more to write a book. And that's not a problem. That doesn't mean to say they're not an author. But what will distinguish that person from other people in their field is the ones who get the book finished. The ones who don't get lost in the research rabbit hole, the ones that actually just keep writing the story and they get it finished. That is the thing that sets a self-published fiction author apart from their peers. So, how do we get there? How do we get finished? You've been writing along, you've managed to get down, capture all the emotion and what have you from your first couple of chapters through to chapter 5. You have ploughed through your soggy middle and managed to come out of it at the other end. You are writing your climatic scene, or you're in the process of writing your climatic scene, or maybe you've got there but not quite. But you can't finish. Maybe you have written your climatic scene, but then it feels odd to just leave it and walk away. So how do you finish your book so that you can self-publish it? There are probably three different ways. The most important thing to do is set a cut-off point in your story and stick to it. If you have reached a point where, if you're a planner, where you've plotted your story out, then you should have done that. You just keep writing until the end, and you don't second guess yourself, you just type the end. You leave it on a suitably romantic or intriguing or whatever it is you want your last paragraph in your book to be, and then you type the end. The reason why people have difficulty doing this is, particularly when they've planned or plotted their stories, is that they've actually become very attached to the characters and they've become very attached to their world, and so they might not be ready to say goodbye to them just yet. That's all right. The cure to that is to type the end and then start your next book. For other people, they may be second-guessing what they've written, either in the climax, the way they got to the climax, maybe they killed off a character and weren't sure if that was a good idea, or all these other tweaky things that has them keep going back and stops them typing the end. And for those people, I would say, would you please cut that out? Your story's never going to get out if you keep doing this. If you think there's an issue with it, change that one issue once. Then go to the end of the book, write your suitably outgoing paragraph, and then type the end. And then there's these people where you just can't quite push to that climax. There's something missing. You feel like it's just not thingy. And what you thought was a really explosive and wonderful climax has sort of all felt a bit secondhand or a bit, lifeless. Oh, blow something up, shoot someone, wave a magic wand and transfer everybody to another world or something. It doesn't matter what you do, but throw a twist in. You can deviate from a plot if you're a plotter. That is possible, but so long as it doesn't wreck the entire thread of everything else that you've done, just throw something else in the last chapter, or actually not in the last chapter, in the second to last chapter, because we do not introduce new characters and new stuff at the end of a book. That is really bad form and it's not fair on your readers. So anyway, if you're writing a mystery and what have you, you cannot just introduce a completely new person at the end of it and say it was his fault. You have to have seeded that through the entire of the book so the reader gets a chance to guess who that was. But anyway, I'm digressing. But that's what you do. The thing you need to do, and one of the hardest things that authors, particularly new authors, struggle with, is letting go of their book. And the reason I'm bringing this up actually is because of my daughter, whom I've mentioned more than a few times on this channel. But as you know, she not only runs her publication Pixie business, but she also writes. She started writing. And she had just finished her second book. And I'm very proud of her. I'm really thrilled. I'm hoping it'll go out soon. But then she started talking about tweaking this and tweaking that. And then she got some information through from beta readers and what have you. And she sort of thought, oh, well, maybe this wasn't so good. Maybe I should have added more stuff here and less stuff there and all this sort of thing. And I just sort of said, whoa, 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 stop. And if you're in this mindset, you stop as well, okay? If you wrote the story you are happy with, then type the end, pass it to the editor, and start writing your next book. All right? These people who have first draft, then second draft, when they go back and they edit first draft, becomes third draft, and then second draft becomes fourth draft. Self-publishing is a numbers game. If you want to be successful, you have to get your work out. You cannot afford to sit there and shiny up paragraph after paragraph and take 2 years to do it. Well, you can. There's nobody stopping you. But if you do that, you better have a side job, because your author wages and your author royalties are not going to pay pay for you to make a living. The way you do this is you write the best story you can in the moment while you're writing it, okay? You pour your heart into it, you pour your soul into it, you put your everything into it. And then you type the end and you send it to the editor. And the editor comes back and tells you where you've put in wrong words and wrong colours and characters. And they might point out if you've missed out a couple of clarifying points. But you just dob them in and then the book goes up. There is no time to stop. Because if you stop and second guess, you will never become a self-published author. You will have a computer stuffed full of half-finished ideas. You'll have that, or maybe you print them out, in which case you've probably got a pile somewhere that's contributing to blooming global warming or something. Truthfully, becoming a self-published author is part of that is being confident in yourself. You have written the story you want to read. You write it, you type the end, and you let go of it. Okay? You put it out to your editors, it comes back, you spend a day editing because that's all it takes. And then you slap the cover on it, the front matter, back matter, table of contents, and you put it up on Amazon. Because you're already busy with your next book, you see. And that's the way to get past all those second-guessed angst things that you go through with your first book, is you start writing the second. I started writing in NaNoWriMo 2013. At the time, they wanted you to write 3,000 words a day. And my first book, The Reluctant Wolf, was just shy of 90,000 words, and I had written that by day 18. So I continued on that month writing The Runaway Cat, which was book 2. I had that half finished by the end of that month of November 2013. Now, those of you who have gone and checked me out on Amazon will see that The Reluctant Wolf didn't actually come out until February 2014. I was never going to publish that. I'd quite literally wrote the book I wanted to read, and I wanted to see whether or not I could do it. And I did, but by the time I published The Reluctant Wolf in February 2014, I was already writing book 3. And I can tell you now, with absolutely no shame whatsoever, that while the storyline in The Reluctant Wolf is brilliant, and while the characters are well-rounded, my writing was crap. It really wasn't good at all. And what was worse, was I am a British person living in New Zealand who was writing a book set in the United States. My dialogue, the terms of use I use for simple things like couches and living rooms and lounges and petrol and gas and bonnets and hoods and all those things was so wrong it wasn't funny. And you know what? I committed an even higher cardinal sin. That book was never edited. I edited it myself. I didn't start getting my books edited by a second person until book 3. But it's still sold because I put it out there. I put it out there, I let it go. I went back to what I was doing. That's why I am a self-published fiction author, because I type the end. And the only problem I have with the way that I do things is that if somebody says to me, oh, wouldn't it be really neat if you wrote another book about such and such, you know, one of my couples? I actually have to sort of go, oh, yes, well, it's on my list, but, you know, I've got so many other things I need to write. Because the problem is that when I let things go and let it go, it's really hard for me to sort of get back into the mindset of writing them again, which is quite funny because at the moment I am writing, one of the books I'm writing is Eradicate. And Eradicate is the sequel to Illuminate. And the reason why I'm struggling with writing Eradicate is, even though it was meant to be a trilogy, is that because when I wrote Illuminate, I actually thought that it ended quite well, but it didn't. I left too many threads open. That was all. It was meant to be a trilogy, so of course I didn't tie up the threads in the book. But I got to the end of the book and thought, oh, actually that's quite good. And then, of course, but, you know, it's a trilogy, which means I've got to sit down and write books 2 and 3. And funnily enough, I have real issues going back and dealing with the same characters in a subsequent book, to the point that the only trilogy I have out at the moment is The Necromancer's Smile, which is 3 books, dealing with the same couple. But it's really quite difficult. So, yeah, so in some respects, my idea doesn't even work, doesn't work. But for you, if you want to call yourself a self-published author, if you want to start receiving income for your books that you have written and put up for free on Amazon, then you need to type the end. You need to get past your fear of the writing the last page. You need to trust yourself that the story you have written and crafted with your heart and soul is the best that you can do, and then you put it out there and just let it fly. And incidentally, don't read reviews. It's never a good idea. But anyway, my friends, hopefully that might have helped. Honestly, the only thing stopping you from being a self-published author, if you're in the process of writing, is that you haven't finished your book yet. So all you need to do is get that finished and, yeah, stick to your guns and get it done. And I do believe somewhere along the lines, I've got an itchy nose today, somewhere along the line, I also have a video out about tweaking, which I am going to put up here, okay? So have a look at that, yeah, that might help if you're one of those people that are dealing with issues with, who want to keep tweaking everything all the time. Believe me, you won't get your book published if you keep doing that. For those of you who don't know, I do have another channel. My Lisa Wright channel is where I actually write. You can watch me writing while I'm doing it. We do writing sprints. Some for as small as 5 minutes, some for as long as 45 minutes. So hop on over to the Lisa Wright channels. There's be a link for that in below. And yeah, if you want to ride along with me, I think that would be awesome. And maybe together we'll get that book of yours finished, because I really want for that to happen for you. Having a comfortable lifestyle having control of your life. It all starts one book at a time. It's not an instant thing, it's not a get-rich-quick thing, but it is something that can happen if you are persistent and dedicated and disciplined and learn how to let go of the characters that you've got and start writing your next one. If you did enjoy this video, please hit like and subscribe. It costs you nothing, but it actually does the world for my video channel. And don't forget to leave a comment, any questions, comments, or anything else. Tell me I'm wrong, tell me I'm right. I don't care either way, but I'm more than happy to have a discussion about it. So, yep, hug the ones you love, my friends. And until the next video, bye.